Good morning, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Today's video session is all about packable hats, the different kinds, different materials, which ones are actually packable and what do they actually mean by being packable. And to put that plain and simple, packable just means that if you pack them up, they won't break. Doesn't mean they're going to come back out of a bag the same way you put them in. Some do, some don't. So if you already have your packable hat and it's a little bit wonky and you know how to fix it, you can just scooch right ahead to the part where I start steaming them back into shape. So to get started for today, though, I'm going to talk about all the different kinds. Well, I can't possibly cover everyone, but I have a number of hats to show you that are packable, and they don't necessarily need to have a label on them that says they are packable. So to start with, I'm going to start with this. This is a Burma brand kangaroo leather. It's called Squishy Hat in a Bag. And you can also get this in cattle leather. And you can tell right away how you fold that up. It just automatically kind of goes like that. And kangaroo leather is quite light and supple. And it comes with a little bag, and you can just throw it in there and away you go. And when you bring it back out of the bag, yes, it does come back exactly the way you put it in. However, you don't want to pack it away for a month at a time or something like that. I mean, this is meant to be, you know, you go hiking and you put it away for just a few hours or overnight or whatever. So that is the one kind of hat that is very popular for hiking and year-round travels and all that kind of stuff. Let's see what else we have. We have our wool felt hats. Now this is Bailey's of Hollywood. This is a Fedora. And this is also, it's a light felt and it is packable. Having said that, you really don't want to pack them and keep them put away. Really, you only pack them when you have to. And if they do get a little wonky, you can just steam them a little bit. And you'll use the same methods that I will use for these other hats that I'm going to show you how to steam back into shape. So wool felts, not all are packable, but you can tell if they're supple like this. I mean, you can just shape them, and you can always stick something in the edges so that they don't totally crease on you. So that is another popular one. This one here, this is a poly, and this is also a Burma, and it's called Canvas Drover. And these ones are packable as well. Yeah, you can just totally pack them right up. Now these ones may get a little wrinkle. Not a big deal though, because it'll just come right back out, and this can get wet. You can wear this spring, summer, and fall. It has the extra sun protection in the front and the mesh in the back, so it keeps you nice and cool. And yeah, you can pack it up. And as always, you don't want to pack it for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. You do have to look after your hats and make sure you take them out of the bag when you get back home. And then we have these little cadet hats. Of course, you can, most of them you can just kind of fold up and put in your bag or purse or whatever, and they're fine because you know you can steam them, or you might not even care. This particular one, this brand is Sunday Afternoons, and that's 2 words, Sunday. And it actually has a little crease right there so that after you've packed it up and you put it in your pocket and stuff like that, it comes right back to the way it was. And so you don't have a real ugly crease in your hats that you might get if it doesn't have this little thing here. So those kind of hats are always packable. Oh, these have the little sunglass holder as well. Now for summer hats, those are the ones that most people are interested in having packable, so they can go on holidays, go to the beach, that kind of thing. So this hat here, boy, this is how it came in. I ordered 25 of these hats, and this is the shape they came in. So I have to steam every one of these. And this is what they call a packable hat. But once they are steamed, they're fine. They come and they do end up looking like this, which is, you know, really nice. I can steam this one a little bit more, but you see where I'm going with this. And I will show you how to get your hats looking like that. So these hats here, this came in looking like this. It's a $25 hat, and it's soft. It doesn't have a label on there whatsoever, but you can roll it up and you can put it in your beach bag. And this would be is it a polyester? It doesn't have a label on it. This is either polyester or 100% paper or a blend. And it will come back out to shape. However, if you do leave it packed for quite a while, you might end up with a little bit of wonkiness, like this first one here that I showed you. Won't be quite that bad. But again, I'm going to show you how to get that out. And the other thing that might happen is that you get a point after you've rolled it a million times from going to the beach. You might end up getting a point at the top like this, and all you have to do is steam that little point down and play with it like this and let it dry, and it will be just as good as new. So that is a really handy dandy little hat. That would be one of my favorites. And then we have these, this is a packable hat. Now this is the way it came in, so it's a little bit wonky in here and here from being packed on top of one another. So I am going to show you how to steam that out. As I said before, it's going to be the same method for all of the hats. I mean, there's 3 different methods, but you do it in the same general way, just using different tools. So this is a packable. This is polyester. 90% paper, 10% polyester. Now, these are not meant to get wet. Okay, these are meant to be sun hats. And if you do drop them in the water, get them out right away and just kind of try to shape them so that they can maybe fill it with a towel or something, shape it and let it dry, and you might be able to save it. You'll be able to steam it a little bit as well, but it may not come back to the same firmness that it is. I mean, it's soft, but if it gets totally soaked, then it's going to lose some of its shape. So you won't be able to get it back totally as it was if it has the water damage. So that is those. So, oh, and also again, you can always put like a sock inside each end so that it doesn't totally crease on you, because even though it is packable, if it's packed for a long time, you could possibly end up with a crease in it. And that's what I mean. Packable just means it isn't going to break if you put it in a suitcase. Doesn't mean it's not going to get creased. So here's a $15 beach hat. It doesn't say it's packable. Maybe you paid $50 for a beach hat that says packable. There are different qualities, of course. But this is, you know, if you only need it for a week of holidays, this is a great little hat. And again, you can just roll them up as long as they are these soft. And you can just put it in your beach bag. And again, the worst that can happen is you might get a little bit of wonkiness, and for a beach hat, that's not bad anyways. And if you end up with a little point here, just like I said before, you can just steam it a little bit. So, and basically all the cotton canvas ones, of course, you can just pack those up. I've got one more hat that I want to show you wherever I might have 2 more actually. So this one here, this is a poly canvas as well, and these are meant to be packable too. So this one is a Henschel brand, and it's called the Aussie Breezer, and you can pack that up. It's always nice if you don't have to pack a hat, but they do pack really nicely. And then this one, most people call these Tilly's. Tilly is a brand. So every brand of hat has these kinds of hats. Tilly made theirs famous because they had that story about the elephant eating the hat and pooped it out. So that's what made the Tilly hat famous in the beginning, all that marketing. So these, yes, these are packable. This one is, the brand is Sunday Afternoons. And the Henschel makes them. Like every hat company makes these hats. And so Tilly is just a brand name. And yes, they are a reputable company, but so are the others. So this is another one, and this would be like a polyester. This one is a nylon. It's 100% nylon, and it's called a charter hat. And it's got the mesh here, but it also has the foam inside, so that it does give you the total UPF 50 sun protection. Now that is another whole video about UPF 50 and sun protection and all that kind of stuff. So we won't get into that right now. But anyway, these hats are great, and they're great for taking on a trip. So when you're steaming, of course, it's hot, so you do need to wear rubber gloves. I have burnt myself quite a few times, so I'm trying to set a good example here by wearing my rubber gloves. So the first method I'm going to use is the easiest one, and some of you do actually have these at home. It's just a little $40 steamer. It would be nice to one day have one of those nice real hat steamers, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to use this one. And I am going to make this hat look like this hat. Now, you want to make sure that you're not on a nice wooden table with nothing on it, because you can definitely damage your table. So you can be on an ironing board or have some cloth underneath. Just make sure you're not on something that is going to ruin your table. This is just one of those poly whatever kind of table that is, like a plastic or vinyl or whatever. And so that's what this table is going to get wet, but it's not going to hurt it any. So all I'm going to do is take this. It only takes like 60 seconds to heat this darn thing up. So and just easy, this is so easy. You just do this on the brim. I think you can see pretty good there, like this. And what it does is it just kind of softens this straw. And sometimes you've got some pretty big wrinkles in it that are gonna appear to be stubborn. And in that case, once you get it a little bit damp, a little bit softened up, you can either sit something heavy on it while it dries. Go right under here. What you don't want to do is go somewhere on this hat that has, like this bow here would be glued to this hat, so I don't want to go right in behind where that bow is, because then the bow will become loose. I'm just going to put this down for 1 second. I'm going to just play with this brim a little bit, and even just kind of pick it up. And already you can see that the brim itself is looking much like this instead of the way it did before. So now I'm going to start on the inside. And the steam definitely comes back out on your hands, so please make sure you wear some rubber gloves or something. And we're just pushing it down, and again trying to avoid that where the bow is, even though sometimes the bow does need to be steamed a tiny bit. You can just kind of do that, okay, so you don't get too much. Now this is a real kinky crown right here. You see that? If you have something round, like a bowl or something like that, you can certainly put your hat on. Like if you, I'm going to just set this on like this, but you don't need to, because you can just keep playing like that. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on like if you had a bowl, and then you can get a little bit of pressure like this. There's a real stubborn one right here. And again, where I'm steaming right here, especially if you get that point from rolling your hat up, see, that is much, much, much nicer already. Look at that. Very nice. And I'm just going to give this another little scooch. Scooch, I guess, is my word of the day. And this is pretty much done. So pretty good. You can just give some of those little troubled areas. But look at that in comparison to the way it was. And of course, when you put it on, wherever you want to put the bow, and then you can do really cool stuff. This one's a little big on me, but that's another video too. Hat's too big. So, and there we have it. That's that one. And I'm going to show you if you're doing a fedora, because a fedora, it's the same sort of style, same method. You still need to do the whole steaming thing, you know, like this. The brim on this one isn't too bad, but up top here is really kind of crinkled in. So all we need to do is just get some of those little crinkles out. Just going to steam it just a tiny little bit. So you don't really need, it'd be nice if you had hat forms, but I don't have them either. So you see, I've almost turned it into a bucket hat. But now what I'm going to do is just take it and just sort of pinch it in like that. And it's fixed. As easy as that, it is fixed. And this is what you can do with your hats that you have packed. Okay, so hats that you have packed, and you know, maybe you packed it like that and you shouldn't have. You should just totally unfold this, pack it like this, maybe put a sock in each end, and just pack it like that. And then when you take it out, you can do this. And if you have a little bit of wonkiness like this one here had, you just do a little bit of steam and let it dry. And then this looks pretty good now. Of course, it's too big for this mannequin head. That's why it's not. Although this hat has a tie on the inside that you can actually tie it up and make it smaller. So that is a nice looking little fedora. So this one, you can see that the brim is just curled down, which might happen, and all you have to do is this easy. And you just play with it a little bit to get it to the shape that you want. Now it's not down so far, it's down perfectly. This still needs to be seamed, but I don't have time to do all of these hats right now. I have 100 of them to do. Okay, so that is the one method by using a steamer. Now I'm just going to use a kettle because you may not have a steamer at home, so we're just going to use a kettle. It does take a little bit longer, because especially if it has an automatic shut off, because you're going to have to keep putting it on and on. And so a better method or a better tool to use in this case would be to put a little saucepan on the stove and bring it to a boil, and you can hold your hat over top of that. That will work much quicker than a kettle, but I don't have a stove here to use that. So I'm going to just boil this kettle, and I will just be back in a moment. Okay, so the kettle is just about boiled, and I'm going to use the same kind of hat I used the first time so we can compare apples to apples. So this one is pretty wonky right here as well. So that's what we're gonna fix with just this kettle. And the reason I say, kettle, because like if you are on vacation, you may not have a stove, you probably won't have a steamer. You might have an iron, and that is my next method of doing things. So now we have steam here. It's not going to last a whole long time. So now I want to avoid getting that right where the bow is. So I'm just trying to put it right around there. I'm just getting it a tiny bit soft. And perhaps if I have the lid open, maybe it will continue to boil for me. Haha, yes. Oh, okay, you can see where I am. So this will make it much easier to get some steam on it. Now this comes in handy if you have that point at the top of your hat from rolling it up. So you just get steam. Oh yeah, it's really bubbling now. Works actually better than I thought. It's the first time I actually tried it. So, but you can't, just lay it out on the table, obviously, and get nice pressure on it. So you kind of have to steam, bring it out, just play, smoothing out those little guys. It's not going to work as well as the steamer, but it is better than nothing. So if I'm going to do this, I could just let it sit like this for a minute, avoiding where the bow is, of course. And you can see that it is coming around, and if you wanted, if it's a little bit damp, you could fill it with a towel and let it dry so that it will, see that we have, it's pretty good now. Could use a little bit more. Depends on how picky you want to be when you're on vacation. But see, it's way better. There we go, a little bit of wonkiness there. So you just a little bit more over top of this. Yeah, it's perfect if you leave the lid open. Just don't walk away from it and leave it, of course. So there we go. So there's that. Now we have, actually in my course of steaming, the brim has already come out a little bit better. So just going to get a tiny bit. Play. A little bit wonky right there. Okay. So that is looking pretty much like that one. So that's pretty good right there. So I'm going to get rid of this one, and put this on the table here. So next one is using an iron. Okay, so we put it on a polyester setting and we put it on a steam setting. Okay, so it is the heat and the steam that is going to make this one. So you can see that this is, maybe I'll use one that is a little bit wonkier. Okay, so here we go. Now, I would suggest, because I don't want you to ruin your hat right off the bat, I would suggest that you put a white or a very light colored pillowcase over top of the hat to make sure that you don't transfer anything from the iron. You know, sometimes they leave marks and black stuff and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure where I ended up putting that pillowcase that I brought in. So I'm just going to use the iron as it is. So we have steam, and you don't want to keep it down too long. You don't really want to rub it too much. You can put pressure on. It's actually working pretty good even without the pillowcase, but you never know with the irons. If this was a hat I was doing for you, I would not take a chance and not put a cloth on it, but since I have 25 more just like it, I'm testing my own theory here. So this actually even works almost better than the kettle, because you can push it down and let's try it this way as well on the inside. Because this is paper, actually. Pretty sure this is 100% paper. But listen to the steam, hey? Listen to the steam. So for the inside, if you have an ironing board, it's perfect because you can just put it right over the end of the iron. Or, I mean, I do have this, and again, you could use a bowl or something, and you can just kind of press, because this is actually working really fine. Over the end of an iron, I think would work better, because an ironing board, I mean, would work better. So boy, this is coming out pretty nicely. I'm quite pleased with the whole iron idea. This is the first time I've actually tried it. I just assumed that it would work. So so let's just play. So definitely the steamer is the easiest way, the best way. I'm just gonna kind of stick this in here because I'd like to get some flat pressure on it. Flat pressure. They don't need to be perfect anyways. But basically, I mean, if you've packed your hat and it comes out wonky, it's not ruined. You can totally fix it with stuff that you have at home. And if this is being really, let's see, if I put this on the corner of this table, like an ironing board sort of, right? That's how you would do an ironing board. Make sure you put water in your iron for when you want steam. So look at that. That's so cute. So cute. And to pack these up, to pack any packable hat, even if it doesn't say packable, but if it's made of this kind of stuff like the paper, the polyester, I would start right where the bow is if there is something like that. You have your brim all down. Don't do it when it's damp. Like this is a little bit damp because I was ironing, but I'm just showing you. So you can have that, and then you can stick something in here to make sure that you don't get a total crease. And again, if you end up with a point here, you just do the little bit of steam. So if the only thing you have to use is an iron, it does a pretty good job. Not quite as good as the steamer, but you know, it'll get you by until you get home and you can use maybe a pot or something like that on the stove, but always wear your rubber gloves and stuff like that. So thank you for watching. If you have any ideas or any particular brands and any hats that you know that work perfectly, that you can pack up and then you take out of the package and they just look perfect, then by all means send your comments and let me know if this has helped you at all. Okay, thank you for watching. Till next time. Bye bye.